Hi, I'm Tom Hunter. I'm OHA's Museum Object Curator. And today we're going to take a look at some really big objects from the collection. These three items right here. So you may be wondering, what are these? Did Paul Bunyan leave his tools behind at OHA? Actually, these are parade props. This is an axe. This is a wedge. And this is called a beetle, B-E-E-T-L-E. And they're parade props they were fashioned for the 1860 Republican candidate, Abraham Lincoln. And they were carried in a parade in the town of Baldwinsville, the hamlet of Little Utica, in the summer of 1860. The items themselves represent Lincoln's humble background. One of his jobs before becoming president was splitting rails for fences. You may have seen a split rail fence. They intertwine and they need to be split from logs. So you would chop the wood with an axe. You could initially split it with this axe as well, lengthwise. You want to create a lengthwise split. Then you would stick the wedge inside and then hammer it with the beetle on this end to split that log at least in half, maybe even more, to create rails, to create the split rail fence. So in 1860, there was a club that developed called the Wide Awake Club. In March of 1860, it developed in Hartford, Connecticut, and its primary goal was to advocate for Lincoln as the Republican presidential candidate. The Wide Awake Club was a paramilitary organization that started as an escort club for Republican orators who would go to different meetings and speak. The first one in late February happened to be at night. So a group of young Republican men donned these capes and carried torches and escorted this orator to his speaking engagement. And it caught on instantly. This group of men had a meeting immediately after the speaking engagement to develop this club called the Wide Awake Club, basically because they were assisting the Republican candidates, keeping those people who would want to take out their political frustrations on these speakers and escort them to and from the speaking engagements. So after this meeting, they developed a costume of sorts that included a cape, a hat, and this torch. And in the newspapers shortly after that time, entrepreneurs, business people were trying to get groups of young men to form the Wide Awake clubs and then, of course, sell them the merchandise. Sell them the cape, sell them the hat, sell them the torch. It grew instantly. It spread like wildfire. And so in the summer of 1860, in Little Utica, the local chapter of the Wide Awake Club had a parade, and they carried these three parade props in it. Wide awake, basically always at attention, keeping your eyes open and being awake for any disturbances, anybody who would want to disrupt the escort, the speaking engagement, etc., etc. I have another object that I'd like to show you that's from the Republican presidential campaign of 1860. It's this nice yet fragile campaign ribbon that I'm holding in my hand. At the top of the ribbon, you can see the two candidates' names, Lincoln and Hamlin. Of course, Lincoln is Abraham Lincoln. Hamlin is Hannibal Hamlin from Maine, who was his running mate and was Lincoln's first vice president. Below their names, you see wide awakes. And this refers to the club, the Wide Awake Club, that was formed in the East, Midwest, and down south during the presidential campaign of 1860. The Wide Awake Club, although they were very popular, as soon as the election occurred in November 1860, the days of the club were over. And so after the election, the Wide Awake Club members donated their clothing, their capes and their hats, and probably not their torches, but definitely their capes and their hats to the military groups that were forming to fight the Civil War in early spring of 1861.